Cecilia Shaw, welcome to the cameras of the Eisenhower Presidential Library Museum and Eagle Communications. So happy to have you this morning.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Been looking forward to speaking to you, and I'll bet you cannot guess why.
I don't know why.
Yeah, right. When I saw ROTC spread throughout your bio here and in a leadership position, I'm just so intrigued to find out from you your vision of that means youth to me, and I'm just so excited about people who lead youth to better and higher things. And so I've been so excited to talk to you about that. But the first thing we're going to do is ask where you're from, who you are, what your family is like,
okay,
those sorts of things, just to kick it off. So where are you from?
I'm from Oxon Hill, Maryland, which a lot of times I'll just say Washington, D.C. For the sake of it. But if you know Prince George's County and the Maryland, D.C., Virginia area, from Oxon Hill, Maryland.
Yeah. And went from there to where?
I was actually born in Concord, California. Okay. Oakland, California. Grew up there. My father was in the Navy.
Okay.
He got stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, which is why we moved out east when I was very, very young. Yeah. But I was born and raised in Oxon Hill, Maryland. Yeah. And then after that, I moved to Florida to go to school. Went to school at Florida Tech in Melbourne, and then went into the military shortly after graduation. Yeah.
How did you enter the military? Under what status?
I had received a ROTC scholarship while I was in high school. And funny story is, really had no inclination of staying in the military. Back in high school, you don't really know much about the military aside from what you see, and having a father in the Navy kind of pushed, I wouldn't say the Army side, but kind of the Army-Navy rivalry, I think. Sure. But I learned a lot from my father, and that kind of persuaded me to have that interest and pursue it. So I tried the Army ROTC program while at Florida, Florida Tech, and actually enjoyed it. Had some difficulty in school, and ended up enlisting in the reserves, but decided, okay, I think I like college. Push from the parents mostly, but
good for parents,
definitely if I were to look back, I probably would have stayed and had quit school, but my parents really pushed me to finish school and was able to continue and get commissioned after graduation. So that was a really difficult time for me, just transitioning, thinking I wanted to be one thing and realizing pre-med isn't for me. So
it's very tough.
Not really career path changes, but just as you grow older, you realize what you're good at and maybe some things that you're not so good at.
And, I don't know if we ever have a career path change. I think we just end up where we should have been.
True.
So, hey, tell us what ROTC is, what an opportunity it is, and what pathway does it take a young person down, and what choices does it give them?
Sure, there's junior and ROTC. ROTC stands for the Reserve Officer Training Corps. Junior being at the high school level, and then senior ROTC, which is at the college level. Senior ROTC is what it's commonly referred to. But what it does is you can come in at any point, I don't want to say at any point, but between your freshman, sophomore, and junior year in college, and take classes like a regular college course, and then through the progression of the different levels of ROTC, it'll culminate normally your junior year for most students, which are called cadets at that point. If they choose to contract, a little different than a basic training, but they'll contract, which tells them that they're going to commit to the Army for a certain amount of time. They will go during their junior year to Fort Lewis, which is in Washington State, and participate in what's called LDAC, or Warrior Forge, the Leadership Development and Assessment course, where they'll go through some rigorous training and evaluation process. It's about 6 weeks long, and they, like I said, extensive training in the summer, and then from there continue their senior year in college, where they'll get some more of the academics and then commission upon graduation as a second lieutenant.
As a second lieutenant?
That's correct.
That's an interesting choice for young people to have today. You know, we sat here, this is our third day of interviews, and we've seen a lot of good examples of what the military can do for a person and what a person can do for the military, so it's been fun for us. What years, let's put a level set on that. What year did you graduate college and join?
I graduated college in December 1996.
96.
And went to, before they consolidated all of the summer training, I went to Fort Bragg, North Carolina for my, they used to call it advanced camp. It's progressed now. It's called LDAC, or Warrior Forge.
Yeah, okay. And what has the military brought to your life? Where have you been? What have you done? What's your jobs?
Since graduating and commissioning, I went on active duty not even a month after graduating from college. Didn't think it would go by that fast. I had aspirations and dreams of being a teacher. Moving from the medicine, I just kept all the biology classes and was a science education biology major, but luckily with the military was able to start off right away, and I started my officer basic course at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. That's correct. I'm an air defense artillery officer, and at the time specialized in Patriot missiles, the Patriot missile system. Went to OBC, officer basic course, and then from there my first duty assignment was in Hanau, Germany with 5780A.
Yeah. Did you enjoy the time in Germany?
I did. I did a lot. Being overseas, you know, a lot of my family were surprised that I had asked to go to Germany. Didn't know a single person going into Germany aside from maybe 2 or 3 of the other officers that were in the officer basic course with me. So it was a little daunting when you don't know the language. You know, you're going overseas by yourself. I think I was 22 at the time, but enjoyed myself, learned a lot in the 3 years that I was there, and was able to deploy to Saudi Arabia and also to Israel while I was there in Germany.
And what years was that again?
I was in Germany from 1997 to 2000, and I deployed to Saudi Arabia in 98, 99, and then to Israel in 98.
Patriot missile battery was your duty?
Yes.
It's quite a weapon system.
It is.
A lot of technology there. Yeah. You find that technology piece of the military, did that startle you?
It did.
It did? Yeah.
It did, but it also is the reason why, you know, when you go and see the different kind of weapon system, some things, you know, you have a big Patriot launcher, you really can't miss a launching system. And you're like, wow, okay, this is what I heard about during the first Gulf War, you know, talking Scud busters, and I always thought Patriot was, hey, this is a great, I never knew it was an acronym, but the Patriot missile system is an acronym, and to actually be able to use that system and know that it's, you know, just how it's evolved in the last, you know, in the last decade is just tremendous.
You went from Saudi Arabia to Israel.
Actually, I went to Israel first, and then to Saudi Arabia. At the time, they used to have normal rotations, Southwest Asia rotations in Kuwait and Saudi Arabia.
What were your living conditions like in both places?
Israel was a little difficult. It was where did we stay? We stayed Mount Carmel, and then eventually moved to Tel Aviv. But I think the scare of anthrax at the time, we had to take anthrax shots. So right even before deploying to Israel, and you know, the fear of the unknown. But the living conditions, we had it better off than some of the other units. But we were co-located with a lot of Israeli soldiers, and they made it, you know, just the friendships, I want to say, that and the working relationships that you have with international officers, that's what I took away from it the most. Just their professionalism and working with them on their systems, and just the language and the cultural, you know, eating kosher was one thing that a lot of soldiers, you know, and the language, just amazing how their military compared to our military at the time.
I think back to those times, and the reason you had to take an anthrax shot was that there was a fear, well-founded fear that our troops would be encountering Scud missiles from Iraq, armed with some sort of biological
Yes, at the
agents
time,
on
yes.
them. At the time, yeah, that was a very real threat to the folks in uniform.
It
there
was.
in that region. Yeah. So you went from there to Saudi Arabia.
The following year, I went to Saudi
Yeah.
Arabia.
Quite a culture shift there.
It was. I did learn a lot. I was stationed at Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, and I had a great time there, probably because the living conditions were a lot. We lived in villas, and I was able to do more personal things as far as working out, taking a class here and there, college classes here and there, and just the mindset was a little different from Israel, but very enjoyable. But the culture, definitely everything from having to wear the abayas, and then being a lieutenant, and then the place where women are in society gave me a greater appreciation because we were able to go out to downtown Riyadh and do the shopping and immerse yourself in the culture, but kind of opened my eyes and made me appreciate it a little bit more because I wasn't allowed to drive a vehicle when we would go out into the population, and anything from the segregation of this is where women and children should be, in the airport when I'm dropping off a soldier. Ma'am, oh, okay, I take some things for granted, and even speaking to people on the telephone, like, why do these people keep hanging up on me? It's
Really?
like, is it a cultural thing? And then when you actually see, just the cultural differences, and gave me a greater appreciation for the United States. And
Cecilia, one of the benefits to us to have you in that chair in front of the camera today is to bring a voice and a face to that story, and to be able to just talk about it as a real life experience, not something some guy who's never been there is saying, or you read in a book, but explaining that's of great value to the people who will watch this program and use it for learning. So appreciate you doing that. How long were you in Saudi Arabia?
that time, I believe 4 or 5 months.
That time?
That time I went twice.
Okay.
And then the second time was the following year, but only for about 2 to 3 months. Same place though. I went back to Riyadh.
Yeah. And when you rotated out of there, where did you go?
Went back to Germany
Germany.
Initial time, and then finished out my time in Germany, and then moved PCS to the career course, captain's career course, back to Fort Bliss, and then came here to Leavenworth for, they don't have it anymore, but for Cast Cube.
Uh-huh. Now you have a family.
I do.
Tell us about them.
I'm married to David Shaw, and we have 2 children who are 14 months apart. My son is 3, and my daughter will be turning 2 this month. That's very challenging.
Yes, that's very challenging.
Very challenging, and this being my family's first PCS move, just a lot of the difficulties that I think I never realized, trying to manage a household and be the military member, and my spouse is not in the military but is telecommuting, so that's a wonderful thing with his company that he's able to move, from Fort Lewis, Washington to here. But a lot of difficulties with trying to manage, being a mother, and then being also the military member, and then being that spouse also, and trying to balance those 3 things. And
part of the conversation this morning from breakfast to here was just about this subject, but it wasn't about the military, it's just about civilian challenges along those ways, and to add the burden of military life to that. It's quite a hill.
I think mine's a little compounded with the fact that, my husband, going into, are we going to stay a military family, and just the whole dynamics of choosing whose path are you going to follow, or can both do what they want to do and be able to leverage that along with raising children. So we're at the the terrible twos, and my son, who is 3, is still in the terrible twos, and makes it very challenging, but very unique.
I could tell you that the terrible twos can last a long time.
Some have told me into the teens.
You probably wouldn't want to hear that.
Right, some have told me into the teens, but
the technology is a great thing. It enables the internet and to communicate when you're in different places of the world, and your husband to telecommute to his job. But I don't know that technology can do a thing for dealing with the decisions around a 2 and a 3-year-old, and how to manage that.
No, I don't know how to manage it. I'm still learning every day. They challenge me quite frequently, and trying to decide, okay, how much of their needs can I meet before saying, okay, I'm going to have to hand this off to my husband, and just to be able to complete everything that you want to complete. And
so you've been at Fort Leavenworth how long now?
We moved here in July, and then with school over 2 months.
Are you on base or off
We
base?
are. We live on post here, and enjoy it because of the proximity, and are looking forward to the next assignment.
Yeah. What do you think it'll be? Do you know?
We don't know. I don't know.
What do you hope it is?
More, it's what I hope it's not, but I'm pretty sure it won't be Fort Lewis. However, I love being stationed at Fort Lewis in Washington, but possibly deployment, and they have 2 new units for air defense, and so I think the possibility of Fort Sill is very high. Fort Sill, Oklahoma, is very high for probability for me.
Well, that's just down the road from the Eisenhower Presidential Library, so you can come up and watch the program when it's on. I hope it works out that way for you. Tell me the biggest thing that the military made an impact on you, either direction. I mean, what was the biggest change of your life? What's the most positive thing?
I think opportunity.
Opportunity. What a great word.
Opportunity. Definitely opportunity. Looking, when I look back as a teenager, 18, 19-year-old in college. What do I want to be when I grow up? I would say military was always a snippet, just a glimpse of, okay, the impact that my father had. He's a retired Navy Senior Master Chief, and he was very proud and served 22 years. But I could see through growing up just the discipline and a lot of the work ethic that he learned while in the military shaped a lot of who I was, who I am, who I was, and who I am as growing up. And that opportunity led to me being able to go to college, and over the last 10 years, it's given me a lot of opportunity, and those opportunities are the things that I want to be able to leave with my children. Everything from education to having a career and being, in such a noble profession.
If your dad were sitting in your seat this morning and I asked him the question about what do you think about the American military, what would he say?
It's just I think it's a noble profession that gives opportunities.
Yeah. And he served in the Navy?
He did. He served
From year to when? When to when?
I have to think back, but he retired in 1982.
Oh, 82. Okay, so that puts him in 60, right? Yeah. Okay. And that during that time, what was his job?
He was in food service, and he doesn't talk much to me, but he'll talk to other folks about it. But after retiring, he was in food specialist and retired as a senior master chief. And on the management side, as soon as he retired, went back to work probably within 6 to 8 months, and continued on amazingly in the food service in other military installations near Maryland.
We had a gentleman sitting in the chair the other day that after the cameras were off, I was saying some things about how well qualified you folks are to do so many things. And he looked at me and he said, "That's interesting." He said, "I've been told that I don't know what you're going to be qualified for if you get out of the military." And I was just shocked. I said to him, I said, "If there's any problem with qualification, that you're overqualified on your expectation of success. The military's plan is for success. They train people for success. They give them the resources they need for success, and they expect it, and they get it. In the civilian world, sometimes that dynamic gets a little twisted. But my goodness, what a wonderful opportunity to meet folks over the last 3 days and to hear their success stories. Yeah. What's your biggest challenge moving forward, other than the 2 and the 3-year-old, which I guarantee you is number one? Yeah. What do you think?
With respect to the military, or to family?
From the military perspective and your career,
I think for my future, personally, is managing the family. Not to bring the 2 and 3-year-old, but they are a big part of my future, and trying to balance their needs and what I envision for them and for my family in the next couple years. And
you haven't had to get on that airplane yet and look back.
And that's the thing is, I kind of banked all my time before that, and so now it's can I leave my family, and you would think automatically after the 10-year mark, retirement, stay in for 10 more years, and that's a difficult thing to look at your 2 and 3-year-old. But I think with any parent, that's something that they have to think of consciously, and being here has definitely brought to light, okay, even though I'm past the 10-year mark, do I want to stay in for the X amount of time?
What do you think of the college courses? This is a college. Your section here is a college in your line of work. How good is this college compared to the places you've been? The coursework difficult?
Demanding. Difficult in the respect that you're trying to manage some other things, and I think your past assignments dictate, different things, but when you come here, it's a culmination, and I think you have certain expectations when you get here, and some of those expectations may or may not be met. And so just the challenges with trying to meet those expectations and pursue, if you're here, I'm also pursuing my master's degree, so it's kind of a gluttony for punishment, trying to complete some things and also balance that family aspect of, okay, this is the time that I have to finish this in this amount of time to be able to progress in the career. And
we've walked around a little, obviously, and gotten the 25-cent tour, but what an incredible facility over in the Lewis and Clark Center. Just a classroom environment. From a civilian perspective, it's impressive. What is there to learn with?
I think more so than the actual structure of the Lewis and Clark, it is to see that building and to be able to go in it daily, it is inspiring. But I think it's more the people in my staff group and the people that you meet and see. I mean, I've run across some officers that I haven't seen since the officer basic course over 10 years ago, and so it's the people definitely that are in that building that make the difference. You learn something from everybody, good things and bad things, but it's something to learn from, and I think that's the best thing to take away is the social networking and take what I can learn from you and how I can change or adjust myself in the future with what I've learned from the different people.
They bring a lot of instructors from different areas.
They bring a lot of instructors, but it's also, your peers. When are you with a group of your peers that you're able to have that constant interaction, daily interaction with them to pick their brain? And no two people have done the same thing in the military career, so you have over a decade's worth of experience there.
At the lunchroom, and we're staying at the Hogue Barracks, so at breakfast table, it's interesting to hear the conversation. I don't know as I've heard a casual conversation yet. It's focused on some topic that they're working on or some experiences they're sharing and cross-learning, cross-sharing with people. It seems to be very focused information exchange on the job you do and how to do it better.
I think they teach it to you that way, so it's ingrained in most officers.
So how long did it take your dad to get over the Army-Navy thing? That's the important question here. He's Navy, and here you're in
He'll
the
still
Army.
always be Navy. He always wonders, I'm the oldest of 3, but I'm the only girl, and I have 2 younger brothers, and I think it's more my mom trying to get over her daughter being in the military. So, but they have deep respect and admiration for it, but they couldn't get my brothers to join the military, and so I think I'm the one that's going to continue on and retire from it as a career.
Is today's military a good place for a young woman who wants a career in a technical field like you're working in?
Yes, I think so.
You think so? Yeah. Yeah. You'd do it again?
I don't know if I'd do it again. No, I would.
Yeah.
I think so. I would.
Yeah.
See, I had to think
Sure.
about it for a
That's
couple
good.
seconds, but
Person should think about it.
no, I would.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your hopes and dreams look like for the next 2 years? You have 2 young children, so let's just put it in something you can get your arms around. You'll leave here in June, right?
About June.
And so you'll get a new assignment. So then you'll have a year, then another year. So what do you want to accomplish for the military and your family, Cecilia, both in the next 2 years?
The next 2 years, I'm really hoping to be there for my kids, first off. But as they're transitioning from the toddler years into kindergarten, I'd love to be there for that. But on the professional side, I really need to get back. So it's that struggle with, okay, I know I need to focus now on being an operations officer or an executive officer, S3 or XO, back in my field, air defense, and it's been a little while since I've been in my field because I've been able to do some other things.
Right.
Hopefully, I will be able to be there, but the likelihood it's just 50-50. You never know. So hopefully, I'll be able to manage whatever comes my way and balance that.
Sacrifice is a word that goes along with military service. I think everybody knows that linguistically, that sacrifice goes along with military service. But it's a rare opportunity to sit down with a mother of a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old and look at the face of choices and sacrifice.
It's a hard choice.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. Well, we so appreciate that you bringing your perspective to the camera today and to talk about yourself, talk about your family, and I want to give you an opportunity to talk to your family as we sign off today. So, cameras behind me. You'll have an opportunity to speak to your family that will be forever in the Eisenhower Presidential Library and Archives at any point, at any time. It's there for them to see.
And I want to tell my kids.
Yeah.
Tell my kids and my family, the Shaw family, Eric and Christabel. I'm just proud of you too, and hopefully you'll see how great the military is. I'm sure you will. As growing up, I envision a lot of things for you, and just know that the military has given me the opportunity to give you the opportunity to do whatever you want, hopefully in the future.
Very good. Cecilia Harris. Cecilia Shaw. My apologies.
Oh, that's good.
Best regards.
Thank you very much.